Hello, so since we're able to load and show the posts, there is one more trick which not all the uh, programmers will share this experience. Okay, because this is something really valuable. And I'm talking about the pagination or load more function. Okay, you have seen, let's say in the Facebook, whenever you are having the app, the content is getting loaded more and more, depends based on the scrolling down. Scroll down. Okay, the same what we are now gonna do. So we'll come to the home VC .swift. Since we already have a function which is called load post, we'll just simply copy this entire function. That is the one. We'll copy this and then we will paste it here. The step number one, we'll change the name to loading more post. Step number two will be to remove this JSON error and to remove the data error. Server error we can keep. Why we're removing this JSON error, data error? Because we know this function works fine if it was able to load first time the post, it will be able to load it more, means there will be no issues with the data in the JSON except the server error. Okay, and the last step here is to change the way the table view gets reloaded. Reload data means it will reload the entire table view. What we want to do is we want to add more cells based on what we're loading more. Okay, so we'll delete that one. And here we don't want to make it equal to the post. We will here self.post, we'll put here dot append contents of posts. This is what we want to do. And we don't want skip to be equal the number of posts which is got loaded more. We want to increase skip by the more posts which has been loaded. Okay, and the way we refresh the table view is quite interesting. Okay, so let's write it. First, we start beginning the update. We simply write self table view dot begins update. Then we write for I in 0 dot 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 less than posts dot count, open curly brackets, and here let's write let last section index equals to self dot table view dot number of sections minus 1. Then let last row index equals self dot table view dot number of rows in section, our last section index. Then we have let path to last row equals to index path, open round bracket, select the method with the row and section, that is the one. Last row index plus I, then section will be last section index, and then we write self dot table view dot insert rows at, in the square brackets we write path to last row, and with the animation dot fade. And we're coming out from this curly bracket and we write self table view dot end updates. Very good. So what we are doing here, for any single post and posts, we first find the last section. So as we're having on the one section, this means the on the one and last section. Then we find a last row of the table view, because after this we want to insert a cell. We find a last row. Then path to last row, here last row plus 1 or I in the last section, and then we insert the row, and then we end update of the table view. So this is how we are reloading the table view. And one more thing, we will here add a new boolean. Var is loading equals false. And what we will do is we don't want to execute load more function when it is already loading. Here at the beginning of the execution load more, here we will write is loading equals true. And here, since it ends updating, we'll write self.isLoading equals false, means there's no more loading. Or it will be also casted as false if we receive any errors. Here, if server error, if data error, if post error, if JSON error here. Okay, excellent. So we have done with the load more function. It's quite easy, just this logic which we must remember. And the next step will be to execute the load more function when we are about closely to reach the bottom of our table view. So we write here a native protocol with scroll view did scroll, and this must be override, and here we write if table view. We will now calculate closely to the end of the scroll view and table view. If table view content offset.y minus table view dot content size dot height plus 60 pixels is more than minus table view dot frame dot height and is loading equals false, then execute load more function. Okay, let's try to construct the code which we have written. Executed always whenever table view is scrolling. Here we'll write load more, yeah. Okay, so I will do it in this way. It will be skip, and here it will be limit. We can now build and run this. Oops, here must be offset, and here must be limit like this. Okay, so this is how we actually implement load more function. And here is one challenge which we're facing. So since in load post there is one one method load post function where is self table view dot reload data. This whenever we call this one, it will execute the function which is self for row at index path. That is the one. So it will show updated details in this cell. But whenever we use this data, begin updates or end updates is not always showing, not executing self for row at index path function. So that's why we'll have to use now another method which called will display cell. Okay, so here we see that it's loading more posts here, and then it need rescroll again to upload this image, because whenever we update the cell with this method, whenever we update table view in this method, it doesn't update the cell. So we will now have to write a new protocol which is for will display cell, and inside of this protocol we'll put exactly the entire content of the cell for route index path function. So that is quite long and long code. So this is the functional self configuration. So select including even the comment. This is how I recommend you. Select till here, till pre-loss closure. Scroll here and go to the will display. So let me write a comment for you. This is executed whenever new cell is to be displayed. And here we can insert it and we'll remove the return values. Here return cell and here return cell, we're gonna delete it. Okay, so here just to see that to track it, you can put just one. And now the load more function will work in the better way. So here, let's say 2 means every 2 posts it will update. It will load more every 2 posts. It will. So okay. So here I have a 2 posts. So I'm scrolling down. Then I have. Oops. Here is it. It was scrolling continuously. Okay. Let's build it again. Now it's fine. Okay, so when the first 2 posts is shown, then it loaded 2 more. And one more thing, guys. One more thing which is very important for you, by the way. This is now we're using the local host, and that's why we don't see the loading moment of this, because everything is getting loaded immediately. Since you will be using the application on the real server, hosting server, so it will work in the more and better natural way. Let's say here the variable which is loading, it will be super fast, and it even rarely will be casted as true because it is on the local host and it's loading very fast. But once you are working on the real server, then it will be working in the better way. So this is how we use load more function. So as an example to show you here, I was using limit 2, but here we can use, let's say, 5 posts or even 10 posts, or yeah, let's use 10 posts like does Facebook. Okay guys, so this is how we can use load more function, and that was a pagination. So well done guys, outstanding result, unbelievable experience we're having. So excellent. Here I'll just write my last comment in this video will be load more posts when the scroll is about to reach the bottom, and currently is not loading means posts. Okay, so that is it guys. Well done. Good job. Unbelievable. Great.